Round.
There you go. That's right. Exactly. You have my total support.
Thank you.
Hey, Janae. Hi, Janae.
Hello. How is everyone?
Good, Janae. How are you?
Good.
Hello, Janae.
Hi, Janae.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. Hello.
Jay. Nina, any regrets for the meeting from trustees or?
No, none.
Okay.
None.
Monique. Hi, Monique.
Hi everyone.
Happy Monday.
To you too. I hope you guys all had a wonderful weekend.
They're always too short for some reason. So
Not the truth.
just waiting for a couple more and then we'll get going, everybody. We do have a quorum, but let's see if Jeff, Bill, and Vicky join us. I think that's all we're missing.
Told you that I.
Annette and I were just conferring, Mary Kate, there's a number we don't know in the waiting room. Annette, maybe just if you send them a message in the waiting room.
But if they're on the phone, I don't know if they can see the message.
Right.
That's the thing.
We
Mhm.
typically have all the trustee cell numbers, so it's strange because we actually don't know who that cell number is.
Okay.
Let me check with. Vicky.
So I sent him a text, Annette.
Oh,
So
you
we'll see
did?
if I get it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just texted it.
Thank you.
Hey, Vicky.
How are you?
Good. We've just got Jeff and Bill, so we're just gonna
Okay.
wait probably 30 seconds, then we're gonna get going, Annette.
Yes, thank you. And I know that Jeff sometimes, but that number doesn't look familiar.
Absolutely. Well, seeing that we do have a quorum, I'd like to call to order the Monday, October 25th, 2021 regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. Nanette, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mary Kate Murin,
Present.
Jenny McDonald,
Present.
Elizabeth Esposito,
Present.
Monique Selden Riley,
Present.
Maurice Lindsay,
Present.
Vicky Krause,
Present.
Samalit Hogan, Present, Bill Johnson, Norman.
Yeah, I'm here.
Jordan. Oh, Bill. Thank
Hey,
you.
Bill. Great.
Hello there.
Norman. Hi. Norman Jordan,
Present.
Jeff Sattler, and Max Starks.
Present.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone, and happy Monday. I do believe it. Is it the last Monday of the month? Is that right? Let me just check my schedule.
It is.
It is. Good grief. So really, we're getting close, getting into the winter already. So thank you so much for jumping on our regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. The approval of the minutes is from the annual Board of Trustees retreat on September 24th, 2021. Do I hear a motion to accept the meetings as stated?
So move.
Great, Norman, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Bill Johnson, second.
Bill Johnson, second. Discussion. Hearing none. Nanette, would you please call the roll to approve the minutes of the annual Board of Trustees retreat for September 24th, 2021?
Yes, Mary Kate Murin,
Yes.
Janae McDonald,
Yes.
Elizabeth Bosito,
Yes.
Monique Selden Riley,
Yes.
Maurice Lindsay,
Yes.
Vicky Kraus,
Yes.
Samalit Hogan,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
Norman Roldan,
Yes.
Jeff Sattler, and Max Starks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Let's transition right into our trustee committee reports. And those are the Audit Committee and also the Committee on Ways and Means for October 14th. So let me turn it over to you, Mac, so we can approve those individually.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So we had our Audit Committee report October 14th. We had our required communications financial statement highlights for STCC and STCC Foundation. Michael Cosgrove, partner, and Lisa DeGusto, audit manager from O'Connor and Drew PC, presented the fiscal year 2021 required communications and financial statements to the Audit Committee. O'Connor and Drew performed both the audit for STCC as well as the STCC Foundation this year. O'Connor and Drew PC issued an unmodified opinion on both the STCC and STCC Foundation financial statements and noted there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies within the report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. There were no unrecorded misstatements, no disagreements with management, and no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. We then had our STCC Assistance Corporation readout from Karen Smith, audit partner from Cone Resnick, where she presented the fiscal year 2021 financial statements for the STCC Assistance Corporation. Cone Resnick issued an unmodified opinion on the STCC AC financial statements and noted there were no material weaknesses or deficiencies on internal control there as well. We then moved to recommend to the Board of Trustees Committee on Ways and Means the approval of the fiscal year 2021 financial statements and audit as presented. Then we adjourn the meeting.
Great, thank you so much, Mac. Do I hear a motion to accept the Audit Committee meeting minutes of October 14th, 2021?
So moved.
Thank you, Janae. Do I hear a second?
Second by Norm.
Thank you, Norm. Discussion. Hearing none, Nanette, would you please call the roll to accept the Audit Committee meeting minutes from October 14th, 2021?
Yes, Mary Kate Murin,
Yes.
Janae McDonald,
Yes.
Elizabeth Bosito,
Yes.
Monique Selden Riley,
Yes.
Maurice Lindsay,
Yes.
Vicky Kraus,
Yes.
Samalit Hogan,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
Norman Roldan,
Yes.
Jeff Sattler, and Max Starks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. And thank you to whoever made that larger. I've got old eyes, so I appreciate a bigger font. So Mac, let me transition right back into you for the Committee on Ways and Means of October 14th, 2021.
Sure, absolutely. We started with a review of the 2021 audit updates, then had the motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 financial statements and audit as presented, and they were unanimously approved. We then had a fiscal year 2022 financial update, starting with a cash flow review. The college currently has approximately $8.4 million available at TD Bank. The projected year-end balance is approximately 3.2 million. We then discussed fall enrollment. The summer 2 and fall credits were very close to budget at approximately down 10%. Trustee Kraus noted the importance of trying to reverse the downward trend in enrollment in more than just discussions at the internal and external committee. So we should have those discussions in additional forums. So we're all in the know. We then discussed fiscal year 2022 revenue and spending report through September 2021, where the current fiscal year 2022 projection is net income of $421,000, driven by revenue increases on higher than budgeted out-of-state enrollment and an increase in the state appropriation rather. We next had Dr. Cook's president perspective, then adjourned the meeting.
Great, thank you, Mac, appreciated. Do I hear a motion to accept the Committee on Ways and Means meeting minutes of October 14th, 2021?
So
I
moved.
move. Second.
All right, got the first and the second. Discussion, please. Hearing none, Nanette, would you please call the roll to accept the Committee on Ways and Means meeting minutes of October 14th, 2021?
Yes, Mary Kate Murin,
Yes.
Janae McDonald,
Yes.
Elizabeth Bosito,
Yes.
Monique Seldom Riley,
Yes.
Maurice Lindsay,
Yes.
Vicky Kraus,
Yes.
Samalid Hogan,
Yes.
Phil Johnson,
Yes.
Norman Roldan,
Yes.
Jeff Sattler, and Max Starks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's transition into old business, which is the comprehensive presidential 5-year evaluation. And just as a little bit of historical and some background, I did write this letter with the assistance of Janae and Betty. We did circulate this letter to all the trustees asking for feedback and comments. I did hear back from some trustees and even had some conversations with some of them. And as you recall, this year we did do a comprehensive 5-year evaluation using two siloed modalities. First, we had interviews with all the trustees. Those were conducted on one-on-one by ACCT. And then we used a survey instruments developed in consultation with the executive committee, which, as you know, is myself, Janae, and Betty. And we talked about some of these focal areas of COVID leadership, facility strategic planning, fiscal management, and others, external, internal relationships. And just wanted to have kind of a brief conversation about the letter that was sent around to trustees, basically talking about the survey instrument, talking about the board interviews, and then our priorities moving forward. And wanted just to pause there for a moment to have an open conversation with the trustees. So I'm going to just pause and see if anyone would like to have a conversation.
Madam Chair, this is Norman.
Yes, sir.
So I just want to just make clear that I wasn't here for the previous 5 years. So I'm gonna be I may abstain because I don't know, I don't know the whole process and that happened in the past. So I mean, not in a negative tone though, in a positive tone, just to be transparent,
Absolutely. Your situation isn't unique. We have 3 new trustees this year.
Okay.
And so this is also the first year that we did this type of evaluation, trying to have continuous improvement, not only with our faculty, staff, and administration, but also the Board of Trustees. and implementing a new process. We're hoping that we'll continue to do that because this is really kind of set the stage for the baseline, and then continue with this type of evaluation moving forward if so deemed appropriate by the trustees.
Okay. So I'm gonna just, then at that point, if it's like that, then I might just take it back then, right? Because it seems like there's enough info there. Thank you for the
Absolutely,
clarification.
Norman. Absolutely.
Madam Chair, this is Trustee Stark. So, I do appreciate you sending this around to us in advance for input. I see you made some adjustments to the evaluation, certainly along the lines of, us monitoring, right? And us, with clear, with objectives, that we can as a board of trustees kind of monitor to make sure that, we're seeing some improvements, right? I know that obviously it's, we're looking for value driven out of this position as the leadership of this organization, and the importance of this to the students, faculty, and community. So this is a very important role that this position holds within the community, and so I do appreciate the updates there, and take this very seriously in terms of us as a board of trustees really monitoring the results that we see. And talking about them certainly more frequently than annually, to make sure that we're getting the value out of this role that we all expect.
Appreciated, Mac. And I think you're making a really good point that I will bring up. Businesses working in cross collaboration with Dr. Cook so we can come up with goals. That's going to be important as we launch, right, our new strategic planning coming down the pike. The assessment, right, for not only the board of trustees, but also governance review. So we're going to have to put that forward, and we'll ask the trustees for their input. Also, when we establish those goals, once we have those conversations with Dr. Cook. So appreciate the comment. Absolutely.
This is Bill Johnson.
Yes, Bill.
Question, just to recap, how many people were interviewed and surveyed for this ultimately? I know all the trustees were, but just to recap.
Absolutely. So all the trustees were interviewed. And as Norman did indicate, some were very new to the board and couldn't respond and answer all the questions. And then the survey instrument was sent out to 71 members in the community, and there were 38 respondents. And then all the board of trustees participated in the individual interviews.
Okay, that's. I wasn't quite sure the number. I knew it was quite high. So it was roughly about 50 people from across the college and outside of the college too, in the community.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
So our total survey response rate was 55%, which is pretty good
Right.
considering survey.
Yeah. No, I think that is good, and I think that actually the marks show the wide breadth that Dr. Cook is out there in the community to, with that many people. It's tough to satisfy that many people, so I think it's, anyway, I was just curious on the numbers, that's all. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Bill. I think to Trustee Stark's comment, we all are about continuous improvement. And I think that is something, we have a lot of work ahead of us as trustees in a community college, and with the help of our students, which we're here, they're our number one priority. And working with faculty, staff, and the administration and the cabinet is going to be really, and Dr. Cook, going to be really important for us to really kind of set our marching orders, not only for this year in a short-term perspective, but 2, 3, 5, even 10 years down the road, to make sure we position STIC as continue to be the number one community college in the area. And we'd like to not be number 4. We would like to be number 1. So I think there's a lot of work for us to still do.
Oh, no, this is Bill Johnson. No, I agree. I've been in business for 41 years, and I'm always looking at my processes, as a business to improve, so I think it's good that we try to do the same thing and
Absolutely,
achieve that goal.
absolutely. And I appreciate the comment. Additional comments, feedback?
Hi, this is Betty. Just a kind of a quick one here. I think for the first time out using this type of an evaluation format, and also the first time doing a 5-year evaluation, we do have springboard to go from. We know how this went, and we can be looking back at it, but also using it to go forward. I think that's going to be the important thing, is going forward.
A-
I agree as well.
I'm sorry,
Madam.
Janae, I cut you off. Please, my apologies.
No, I was going to say I agree as well. I really appreciated this tool and working with ACCT for this. I know it's my first time doing a 5-year evaluation. And one of the things I was concerned with was, the bandwidth and our ability to be able to capture everything that we wanted to be able to capture to do such an evaluation. And I think that this was an excellent tool, and our ability to incorporate the community and their response is really important because, many people may not realize, but the community really does look to stick, in the college for direction on, workforce and education and other things. So I think if we continue to build on really meeting the community's needs, that's going to be really important. And I think that's one of the things that this helped us, helped show us, not just focusing only on Dr. Cook, but on the college as a whole, and the important role that it plays and what we need to focus on moving forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank-
I also want to point out that in addition to the new tools that we've used here to do this evaluation, this was also an credit to the college and everyone who works in the administration there, is that this all happened during the pandemic, which is new for all of us, not just the leadership there, but for all of us, and to witness that we not only was able to deal with successfully the management of the institution, but to also deal with it in addition to navigating the challenges of this entire new pandemic. So I think we did fairly well, and I applaud everyone for that. I think it really shows the leadership. So this was a good another additional thing to be able to be a witness to the leadership of the institution.
Thank you, Maurice. And I think you're making a great point also, is that not just one person doesn't get everything done. It's, as I said earlier, we're here for the students, but it's faculty, staff, administration, the cabinet. It's as you mentioned, Janae, that's community, our partners, that's legislature. So, it's really important. And I think that it's something that will continue. There's always areas that we can all get better at. And as I said earlier, is really kind of setting up the college for the future, to ensure that we're providing the best programs, the best facilities, and the best education that we can as a community college. And I think that's all why we're here. And we volunteer our time to stick, because we do have a passion for it, and a love of what the community college does bring to the area. And I think you all pretty, I've been in town for now 6 years, and there is something special about this whole area, and that's why we're still here. And just one last comment, I want to thank all the trustees. I know we did at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year, but just want to do it again, to your point, Janae, of the bandwidth and all of us working hard and diligently to put forth a stick up front. So appreciate everyone's work that has gone on. And since the school year's just started, there's a lot more to do. But also just wanted to really kind of thank everyone for their work.
So, Madam Chair, if I may, with that closing you just did, I would like to move that the Springfield Technical Community College Board of Trustees approves the comprehensive 5-year presidential evaluation as prepared by members of the executive committee, consistent with the Commonwealth open meeting law requirements and the Attorney General's regulations, education materials, and advisories.
Thank you, Bill. Do I hear a second?
So move.
Discussion. Hearing none, Nanette, would you please call the roll to accept the motion on the comprehensive 5-year presidential evaluation?
Yes, Mary Kate Murren,
Yes.
Janae McDonald,
Yes.
Elizabeth Fosito,
Yes,
Monique Seldom Riley,
Yes.
Maurice Lindsay,
Yes.
Vicky Kraus,
Yes.
Samalid Hogan,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
Norman Roldan,
Yes.
Jeff Sattler, and Max Starks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. As I mentioned earlier, just new business, what has come out of the review, and as we extricate ourselves, hopefully, out of COVID and the situation and the conditions we've been in for the last year and a half, I really would like to work towards Dr. Cook working with you and a couple of us on the Board of Trustees on establishing goals. So I wanted to just kind of call that out. Would love people to hit me on text or email to be part of a group that we put together to work with you, Dr. Cook, to kind of set us up. And I think they also would go in conjunction as I jump into my chair's report a little bit after I turn it over to you, Dr. Cook, is kind of putting those 3 things together. So just wanted to mention that quickly in new business. But we'll kind of tie that all together when I get into the chair's report. So without further ado, Dr. Cook, I'll turn it over to you for your president's perspective.
I almost want to take a minute. Pre-COVID, if we were in the room together, everybody, I would sit there and somehow be able to physically express my gratitude and appreciation to trustees. I mean, it is stunning to think 5 years has now come and gone to be in my 6th year here at this institution. Not for one day have I taken that for granted. It is a privilege to work with all of you. And now to add, as Trustee Lindsay noted, under pandemic circumstances, it is a collective, this institution and what we're trying to do, living this mission. So I'm so thankful, and I take very seriously your comments and your feedback in this evaluation. So again, please know I'm grateful. I think it does really set up nicely for just a few things I want to share tonight. The idea of down the road, in relatively short order in 2022, the college will develop its next strategic plan. I think it's a great example of being able to be clear with you about goals. One goal only almost is so obvious. You're going to want me to help ensure that you have a strategic plan that is provided to you with a lot of process underneath it that you as trustees can approve. I think that's also a goal that you would have for me in my role. Within that strategic plan, though, I think we can institutionally set some goals for ourselves, not necessarily just for me in my role. So what do we want to do about sustainability? What do we want to do about equity and anti-racism? What do we want to do about our facilities? Again, I stand here to try to be a conduit with trustees and for the operational management of the institution to make sure that we put that forward. And that strategic plan is just such a tremendous opportunity for us to have it all in one place. So absolutely, Madam Chair, I'm looking forward to that conversation. And again, the fact that we can bring in some consultants and have them also as facilitators, I think will be to everyone's benefit. So just a little bit of note on that. A couple other brief comments, and then again, I want to talk about this point that Trustee Starks noted about value. And to give that example, and I'm going to put the Building 20 sort of status, that project in front of the whole board tonight. COVID vaccination policy, again, Community colleges collectively came out with a requirement that all students and all employees will be vaccinated as of January. Please know that that preparation, trustees, continues in earnest. We're working to ensure frequently asked questions for students are being prepared. We are impact bargaining with our 2 unions. And again, bear in mind, those impact bargaining conversations happen at the state level on behalf of all 15 community colleges. So those are well in hand. We have also set up, earlier than most community colleges, a process where students already can upload their vaccine documentation. Pretty unusual. We have a school of health that already needed that. And between them and the faculty, there's over 500 that have already submitted back in September. Even just starting last Thursday when we went live with this, we already have over 100 additional students who've already uploaded their vaccine documentation. So we're really doing well with navigating the latest wrinkle of this pandemic. So take some heart in that. The second thing is, so I forwarded a campus email to all of trustees. Again, I think we've really done well, and with the leadership of Dr. Shea Butler, really helped build institutional platform for communication. There's a nice e-newsletter that's now being pushed out on a weekly basis, which I think is very, very helpful. A small note, as I included there, this Saturday, the college is hosting, in partnership with WTCC and others, a community vaccine day on campus. Again, a pretty significant come through that there's a forum that we can help provide to help, again, inject and encourage vaccination. So again, the college is hosting that. Feel free to stop by, trustees. I believe it starts at 11 o'clock. It's going to go all afternoon into the evening. So again, welcome to that. So let me shift gears there, and then certainly at the end of this, happy to take any questions or comments. We've been talking, I feel like, about Building 20 for like 4 years. We submitted a good faith proposal back in 2019 to extract ourselves from Building 20. I think everyone has heard, again, the dilemma and the detail with that building and why that's so imperative. So what we're doing is prepping, again, with better information this go round, and yes, an earmark from the legislature, $5 million, a refined proposal. And again, I want to just walk through the board with this because there's a real implication for next month. We're going to test this once more in front of the Ways and Means Committee, vet this once more with that committee. But there is an ask, and again, we're going to get to that, of trustees for support to help get this over the finish line. And with your support, I feel like that really does help ensure everyone in Boston understands how much of a priority this project is. So I'll take that next slide, Nanette. So this was shown at a Committee for Ways and Means. I know you might have to minimize that, Nanette, just a little bit to get it all on one screen. There you go. So where we've landed, everybody, and again, there's some elements to this where we, hand in glove, had to make sure we talk with faculty and the MCCC union in particular in tandem to when we sort of went live with these things. So where we've landed is that it's going to be a combination of a piece of Building 20 in the tech park and the remainder ideally in Building 13. Building 13 is not necessarily one of those buildings we've talked a lot about, but when you drive in the main entrance, it's the third building down on the right. And right now it's been heavily underutilized. A lot of those faculty are teaching online. That's where we've landed on. And it really helps include a submission for a rationale and a plan that gets us to a place that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people who've looked at this campus over the years. There will be funding elements that we're going to get to that are included in the submission, and letters of support from you, the board, as well as community and industry will follow all that. And we're expecting a decision by next May or June for this. So I'll take the next slide. So in the tech park, there's this piece called the NCAP. That is real excellent grounds for us to move 3 of the different programs. And they are 3 programs that really, for their clinical piece, invite the community to them. It's a wonderful place because there's good parking. It's all on the first floor. One of them, by the way, is our dental sciences. So again, it really holds together. We think we might have to put one of the programs in Building 2, where there's things like hoods for chemistry labs. It sets up nicely to one of the programs. And then, as we say, these workforce affiliate programs, certified nursing assistant and emergency medical technician. We think we're going to move into Building 27 and have some of those more workforce labs that sometimes we offer for non-credit there. But essentially, allows us to utilize building 13 for the remainder of that School of Health, including all the simulation and lab space that we need. One of the things that we've put on here is the current gross square feet, everyone, that we're in building 20 is, as you see, just over 100,000 square feet. This new proposal has about 25% taken off the top. Again, pretty significant to be shifting our footprint that way. And again, for people who have been vetting our proposal over the years, they like to see that type of progress. Take the next slide. Here's the funding stack. Here's the all-important piece. In this latest round of DCAM funding, they have upped the ask from 25 million to 30 million. So we've put 30 million in there. We've got 5 million in the economic development bill from January this year that came through with legislative support from our delegation, and it was not vetoed by the governor. You've heard me talk about that. Here is the piece that we do need for trustees, and we ask you to try this on for size, is $6 million from reserves that combined with another $500,000 from the foundation gets us the 41.5 million that we think really will get us this relocation, this significant project, and finally get us out of building 20. Again, support from legislative delegation is clear. Your support will be critical to this. So that's part of the ask to have you all trying on now specifically. I'll take I think it's the last slide. Some of the key next steps, again, our school deans have discussed this plan in these locations with faculty. We do need to formalize approval from you at Ways and Means next month, and then the full board. And then again, the submission from DCAM is by December 23rd of this year. Let me see, do we have a final slide? No, we don't. Okay, so I'll leave it there. Again, happy to take questions, comments from the board, but this again is the most significant priority in our campus master plan. We've been talking about this for a long time. We've really honed this proposal, everyone. We thought we were already there back in 2019 when we submitted for a comprehensive move across the street to the tech park. Essentially, people came back and said 54 million, that's a little bit too much of a sticker price for us. So we worked and worked and worked and have landed at this. And again, we've been doing studies with DCAM and with the tech park to help formulate this. So again, there's a lot of encouraging signs with where we are here. Happy to take questions and comments.
I have a question. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead, Janae, please.
Okay. Well, I have a question, I have a comment. So the question is, what you're proposing, that is for the relocation of building 20, right? Not the repair or restoration or anything like that for building 20.
Yeah, the relocation speaks to all the personnel programs that we have in that building. They come out of building 20.
Okay, and so once we do that, there's still the issue to solve for of actual building 20, right?
Which ideally, and here's the great call out, Madam Trustee. The college's view that we've been talking about for a while is it would be nice if we could do demolition on that building. The challenge for us is the National Park Service, who works in partnership with Mass Historic Commission, views the building as historic. They actually view the first 3 stories built in 1941 as historic. So the challenge for us is we can't move to demolition until we get some kind of an agreement. And by the way, neither of those bodies are prepared to put money on the table for a renovation or a rehab of that building. The force, if you will, on all of this has always been, we don't want to get flooded out of that building. That's why we got to relocate. But there is a next step, which is then how do we contend with that building on campus? It seemed like we needed to cross that bridge when we got to it.
Right. So what I wanted to say was, you know, the organizer in me, the community organizer in me still says that we need a really public facing campaign so that the broader community really understands, like you said, the biggest issue, you know, that we're having right now on campus as far as facilities goes. You know, the ACCT is talking about this. They're talking about leveraging student trustees, really leveraging your stories. And when I think about us, you know, requesting a line item through the legislature, that's good. But are we showing up at hearings and providing testimony, whether as trustees or as students? I mean, you know, can we put it on social media? I feel like the community really needs to understand the need or what's really going on facilities wise on the campus, because moving it is great. I mean, we know we need to do that, but then now we still have this huge, giant, multi-story historic building on campus that is falling apart, but also we're missing out on opportunity to do other things that could serve the community, whether it's urban growing or whatever it is. And so, you know, maybe we can get some of the union folks who want to raise sand about everything else to join us in arms, you know, to bring advocacy to this. I would really like to see a public facing campaign so that everyone knows, from our state delegation all the way to our federal delegation, how important this issue is for us.
Really appreciate that. We can certainly make that a standing item at internal, external. I mean, it certainly speaks to that forum as a place to discuss and work in tandem with you, the trustees, for that type of effort. So absolutely.
So hello, hi, John. I don't disagree with anything that Janine just said, but I wanted to ask to clarify. The building is structurally sound, but there's still, the issues are the asbestos and the habitability of it, like the use of it, correct?
Yeah, the top 2 floors have not been inhabited, everyone, since 2005. 2005.
Right, but structurally,
yep.
Structurally is not a public safety issue at this point. Structurally, like it's not.
And again, I
down.
need to be careful about this. So we are close to being able to conclude a safety assessment to actually test that out. And yes, there are no red flags coming out of that structurally.
Right. What I'm getting at is that people that are walking around the building are safe.
Right.
And
Yes.
then in regards to getting the public involved, absolutely. I think though it sounds to me that you've kind of come up to this point where you have this package, this funding package to put it all together. You need our approval to dip into the reserves from the college in order to complement that package that's been put forth. And I think the other trustees' comment, Janae, is that it's valid in terms of the public perception, right, of this large investment that's been made for this building. I think though we've been talking about it for a long time, being a new trustee myself and not having been as involved with the college affairs prior to becoming a trustee, I think I was not fully aware of what was going on in the college. So to her point, I think it's maybe do a push of external communication so that the folks understand that why it's so urgent, and that the students, you know, that are affected can also have a voice in this matter.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I would wholeheartedly agree, Dr. Cook, right, is that we have to get Springfield Community College and bring back the technical, right? And so bringing those all together back, you know, into one area, really appreciate, Janae, your comments, is that it's not just about the programs, it's about the faculty and staff and the students who are going to be really going after, and then using the college mentioned too as for the community too, and what we're here for, right, is putting all those pieces together. So really would appreciate that, Dr. Cook, if we could talk internal what that looks like, right, from that kind of public facing campaign to drum up support and kind of lead the charge. It's not just about this building, right? But it's about probably the community college in general too.
And we'll work both committees, both internal, external, and Ways and Means, because when you have less campus to maintain, right, you have more money to be able to invest in other needs across the college too, right? So that's part of this too, is if we help sort of land on a wherever we land, obviously it's about sustainability and ability to invest in what we do have. Again, the benchmark, everybody, we have about 1 million square feet of campus. That's nearly double Bunker Hill's footprint, right? Their facilities, and they have triple the student body that we do. So there are all kinds of ways that we can triangulate what we need and how much of it.
John, what's changed on campus that this proposal works now when the previous proposal had everything moving across the street? How have we found space now on campus to relocate the majority of the programs and put less across at the park?
Yeah, that is the question, right? And it gives me a chance to talk about building 13. Pre-pandemic, Building 13 was already a building that we would close in the summer to try to save a little bit of money on utility costs, what have you. But that building, basically, because so much of it has been able to transpose itself to online, shows us that we can continue to do that and therefore repurpose that building. That building is in arguably the best shape of any of our academic buildings on campus. That really is the change. That really helps lower the cost too, because as opposed to having to put some new construction in the former proposal, we pulled that out and now it's renovation of existing decent condition building. But again, this pandemic has really pushed a lot of the instruction to online in some of these areas, particularly attached to those people who were in that building. That's been a huge opportunity for us to leverage.
That's great. I guess my concern would be that one of the things that we've had concerns over in terms of enrollment and student success is students having to be online and remote versus being in class on campus, and their ability to be successful in that environment. And so I just think that as part of all of this, we can't just look at the bricks and mortar if we're moving programs on campus to space that previously would have been occupied by students that we still want to help teach and be successful because we think we can keep it online. Maybe we can, but it seems to me like a lot of the conversation around the impact of COVID, enrollment, student success was also about remote learning and how that wasn't necessarily in the best interest of all of our student body.
No, great. We've got that too. We've done a lot of thinking on that one too. So let me help clarify that. At least people think. We will offer as much on campus as students want to take. There are no labs though in this building, right? So we're not taking away from mission, technical or otherwise. In fact, we're really ensuring the stabilization of a whole school in that regard. These are, quote, general purpose classrooms, which we have in other buildings across campus. So when you take intro psych, again, now many students are certainly opting for online and that's their prerogative. And we'll see what kind of trend that is in the future. But for those students who want to take intro psych on campus, we will be able to offer that in other buildings. So we're not diminishing our ability with this one bit. And again, I can make sure that our team is working to clarify that part. And I think, again, that's what's been so helpful in the eyes of folks who have looked at this new proposal.
Yeah, I think, John, that the comment is welcomed, right? Because if our students, right, during COVID were, quote unquote, and this is a bad word, forced, right, because the college was closed, we just want to make sure that as we get out of this, a year to whatever that is, that the continued opportunity for that face-to-face, and I'm that type of learner. I need that face-to-face, that experiential. Not everyone does, but to make sure we have the options for our students. So it's more hearing what Vicki's saying to be able to come back on campus eventually.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And again, that's live now, trustees. So just know we have built it out where if students want it on campus, we made sure that those options were available. They just continued to not select it in the numbers that we would have all hoped.
So just for clarity, John, so at the next Ways and Means, and Nanette, if you could forward that to all the trustees so they can listen in, I think that meeting will be critical for everyone to attend, and that's November 8th. So 2 weeks, everybody, clear your schedules. So we'll go through that on Ways and Means, and then on the 22nd, it would come to the board for a full vote. To give the college time for that submission on December 23rd to DCAM.
What I'll do too is I'll have Nanette put the link to that past Ways and Means meeting that's on YouTube, everyone. Again, at least you have any doubts or questions around this. We want to just make sure you have a runway to when that vote happens. And there was great conversation. There was other questions too around that 6 million versus in the past, what trustees have been asked for. It's all right there on the record. We'll make sure that you've got that conversation as well. Should those things come up, you can already have that perspective.
And just another comment on my end, and I know it needs to go through Ways and Means before it goes anywhere else, so I will bring it up at the meeting on the 8th. But if we're going to be doing a full scope study of programs and relocation and space as part of this, I recommend that we continue the conversation around cosmetology and automotive as part of that. We don't want to make decisions about programs that we've said we will relook at without including those in the conversation.
Yeah, happy to. Again, we're at the mercy, right, of certified studies as required by DCAM. So again, no doubt once we put the proposal in and given the size of this project, DCAM is going to say, yep, we want to do certified studies on the whole thing, but we absolutely can have not just the current present school health programs, but if you want to revisit where automotive is and cosmetology, we can absolutely include those too.
Yep, I think that's the ask. And then we'll have that same conversation, I think, in November on the 8th, right, Vicki, during that
Yes.
kind of Ways and Means
We'll
and
start-
packaged together, kind of makes
Yep.
sense.
We'll start it to there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dr. Cook, thank you so much. So Nanette, I think you're going to forward everyone the Ways and Means going on November 8th, but Ways and Means, right, everybody? So that will be a good meeting. We'll get you that invitation. And then just transitioning, I'm sorry, Dr. Cook, are you finished?
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
I didn't even, sorry about that. I must be getting hungry. Just to transition a little bit into my report that I've also mentioned in new business, really want to start, with the help and the support of the board is to look at hiring a consultant for strategic planning and governance. I think it's really important that we do this the proper way, and just wanted to kind of have that first initial conversation. This would also need to go through Ways and Means, is my understanding, because there would be an allocation RFP or RFQ that we'd have to put out. But just wanted to have that conversation and kind of put that on everyone's plate for a hiring consultant for those two things, strategic planning and governance. I think from a board assessment perspective, there are some self-tools that ACCT did share with us, and we might want to try that individually first, because we also committed to that, as you recall, trustees, during NETCHI, during the accreditation. So there is that piece that we'll have to complete. It doesn't have to be completed this year, but I think in the spirit of continuous improvement, we want to continue also looking at how the board functions and how we can better improve our ability to work cross collaboratively. So just kind of put that out there as just a comment, and just kind of pause there to see if anyone has any feedback or comment on that.
That's what I was going to ask, Madam Chair, was, or were we able to go through ACCT for the strategic planning process? Is that a part of some of their offerings, or maybe they have a group of consultants that they work with? So I don't know if we would still have to go through that.
I can share what we've talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Again, with all this stuff, we're just subject to public procurement. So if it's under $10,000, we can work through a quote approach. And again, our CFO will navigate that. If we would expect the work to exceed that, then it would prompt more of an RFQ, request for quotes, which is a more broad-based thing that we can actually nevertheless still put in front of different organizations. And there's a cap of $50,000. If we're go beyond 50,000, we have to do an RFP process that is blind to the public that way. So absolutely, we can help get you what you all want and need.
It's a good comment, Janae. I think we need to ask, because I don't think we've gone down that road, and I can own that right now and then eventually turn it over, just to see if ACCT provides that. And then we might want to break those two things up. I'm not asking for a decision now, just kind of think about it. Do we break up strategic planning and governance review from each other? My initial gut tells me yes, but can definitely be swayed either way by the majority of the board moving forward.
Mary Kate, I agree. They're pretty different, and I think they both deserve attention. And together, I think it'll be almost too big to handle. And it'll also, I think, respond better to the NETCHI request on governance review and assessment if we treat it as a separate item from the strategic plan.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. Usually my gut is initially right, but appreciate the comment.
I just have a quick comment. It's Betty. Regarding the keeping the two separate, I'm in agreement for that. I see them as that way, falling in that way. And I was thinking about strategic planning. And when I look at that, and I'm not an architect or anything like that, but when I think of that, I think of someone or some company, group, consultants that would be familiar with the location, the knowing about the buildings, the history aspect, so that if there's going to be a component that's going to look into, our structures, the facilities, along with, I don't know, I guess that's how I'm looking at that. Part of that anyway would be, and to have, if there was someone that was local to Springfield or the area, when I think of strategic planning. And I know there's another component of that, including personnel, but I also see a facilities type. And
let me help with a little bit. So I would encourage it this way. Trustees asking for a perspective. You absolutely want to navigate governance, bring in your own consultant, ask for examples, seek feedback from our community. You'll want that from a consultant. What I would ask is that trustees consider the college itself and our leadership team navigating the strategic plan just as we navigated the NETCHI self-study. There's a lot of overlap and similarities there. We certainly can work with a liaison model to the board. We'll certainly work to ensure that you are fully engaged, but you're going to want your administration to manage the strategic planning process. Even Betty, to your point around local, I know we definitely want that, but we're at the mercy of public procurement. That when we vet this, when we launch this, we're not necessarily able to weight localness any differently that way. We can certainly do different utilization studies on the campus itself, but those are separate, likely and distinct from some of the strategic planning that the individual will want to work us through. But it's a ton of meetings. It's a ton of process. There are all kinds of stakeholders to navigate, and things like our internal collective bargaining agreements and personnel. So I invite you to really think about utilizing your president and your administrators for the strategic planning process, all along being sure that you are fully informed and vetted as to how that's going.
I understand what you're saying, Dr. Cook, and I understand the heavy lift that this is, but I think that I'm encouraging my fellow board members to be prepared to at least give a lot of input, and we should be very involved because we are not involved in a day-to-day and we have delegated that to you. We have a duty as a board to heavily direct and play a role in the strategic plan so that you and your administration can carry out that plan. So I don't want us to get lost in what our role is as a board in a strategic plan. And I understand that you all will do a lot of the heavy lifting as you should, but I just want to prepare and encourage my fellow board members, to prepare with input or, outcomes or et cetera of how we should be moving forward with that.
Yeah.
I agree. And I think, I think these are both good topics to talk to ACCT about. I think when I spoke during my interview to the person who helped us on the evaluation, they have a pretty wide breadth of services and experience that they have within that group. And if it's not them, then certainly it could be others who help community college and strategic planning. And, you know, this is not necessarily a business setting, you know, in a for-profit mechanism, but often strategic plans have a third-party independent component to make sure that the information and all views of the direction of that strategic plan are considered. So I do think it's important to have a third party involved in the process. And, you know, as part of the evaluations, I think there was a clear message on communication. And I think that's just also a good way to make sure that the communication is clear to all parties. So I would highly recommend we consider still involving an outside person or party or group in the strategic planning.
Yeah, and I think to your point, Vicky, and to Janae, right, is that a third party is important to kind of put that all together. And John, I think we're hearing you too. But we need to have board, to your point, Janae, board involvement, right? Is that we can't just say we want a third party and then not like what they come up with, right? So I think, Dr. Cook, you mentioned earlier, 1 or 2 or maybe 3 liaisons kind of helping, being part of that, very similar to some of us that were part of the NECHI, right? That really kind of dove into those individual committee meetings. And I think this is a conversation that we should have again and kind of set up what we think is best for everyone. And I think we can get there. Absolutely. I think we can get there as long as we have some great participation from the board also, to Janae's point.
Rest assured too, right? It is you as the trustees. We need you because you ultimately approve our strategic plan. And obviously you're going to want every bit of investment in there before you do approve that. So there will be no blind spots. Here's why it's also a little tricky. The Board of Higher Education also approves your approval. So there are all kinds of layers to this, right? The Board of Higher Education also takes a significant interest in every college's development of a strategic plan, and they're going to assign us a liaison. So we'll have that to work into this process as well.
Yeah, I think we all understand this is higher education, and it's a little bit when the wheels are getting stuck in the mud a little bit, right? And I think, but it's important, John, and I appreciate you hearing what the board is looking for, and everybody rest assured we'll figure that out. And hopefully we've got some people who will also, you know, kind of volunteer and be part of that liaison, and we'll figure that out, everybody. Rest assured as we move forward. I think the first piece is, you know, what will ACCT do for us, right? And what's their capability? And then we can get that answer, everybody, and I'll have that answer by the 8th of November. So we'll have that ahead of time. And if I find out sooner, I can just email everyone individually and let you know where that stands, just to kind of keep you in the loop, if that makes sense.
Is there a timeline for putting out the RFP for the consultant to help with the strategic plan? I'm sorry if already was mentioned. I missed it.
No timeline. What I first need to do just to figure out is if ACCT does this. I think I could probably figure that out this week, beginning of next week. If it's not the case, then we'll have some conversations with Dr. Cook and some others to kind of figure out what the process is moving forward. I think that's what we've heard.
The way we've mapped this is myself and our board chair, right? Mary Kate and I go in front of the New England Commission of Higher Education. We go in front of NECHI next month. Yep. Again, it's to receive accreditation, but they're also going to voice to us soon after the areas of emphasis, as they describe them, areas of focus. So that, combined with everything that we projected in the self-study, gives us that jumping off point. We were thinking, you know, ideally it'd be nice if by the end of January, somehow we had a consultant ideally in place. So it gives us a chance to sort of prep and lay the conditions later this fall. And then use all of 2022 to do the process underneath this.
So I can't remember. I'm sorry.
No,
I
please
can't
go
remember
ahead.
which trustees mentioned this, but in terms of the RFP, if it does get to that point where you do have to send out an RFP, I think some of the concerns that the other trustee mentioned can be addressed in the comparative evaluation criteria that's put forth in the RFP, so that you can give extra points for for companies who are more local or more familiar, say, with this area, and they can, document that in their response to the request for proposals.
Yeah, absolutely. We could totally do something like that. Absolutely. Great. So our next board meeting is November 22nd, which is the full board. You should, if you haven't seen it already, I think, Nanette, I did see something come across already. I don't know if you've already forwarded that to everyone. Look for Ways and Means on the 8th. We'll have that. I've asked Dr. Cook and the administration to keep that meeting very, very short with agenda items, so we can spend a lot of time talking through Building 20 and the ask, and then we'll continue to move forward with the full committee. Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the regular meeting of Monday, October 25th, 2021 of the Board of Trustees?
I'll move.
Second.
Great. Nanette, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mary Kate Murin,
Yes.
Janae McDonald,
Yes.
Elizabeth Esposito,
Yes.
Monique Selden Riley,
Yes.
Maurice Lindsay,
Yes.
Vicky Krause, Samalid Hogan,
Yes.
Bill Johnson,
Yes.
Norman Roldan,
Most definitely yes.
Jeff Sadler, and Max Starks.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Great. Thanks, everybody, for really
Thanks.
robust conversation. Have a great night and be prepared